So this is the entryway here into a porch area that we're going to build a wheelchair ramp for. First thing we had to determine was our height of our threshold here, which is 17 5/8 inches. And that height necessitated that we build longer than an 8-foot long ramp. So we had to get a couple of 4x8 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood, and we're going to build a 10-foot long ramp here, which will give us a rise of per foot 1.7 inches, which is acceptable for a household ramp. Okay, we have our 4x8 sheet of plywood set up on sawhorses here. I'm just going to mark the line of the 2x4 clamp to the length of it. Okay, one of the considerations with this ramp was that it's an extra 2 feet long, 10 feet, so we had to get an extra 4x8 sheet of plywood. .31 inches was the dimension for the width, again, for this 2-foot section. Okay, we're going to use this as a leading edge, and we need to take some material off. I've calculated it out using a little trigonometry. Then we need 7 degrees removed off of here, about 7.5 degrees. So we're going to take our little simple protractor and making sure that we have the undersurface that we need removed, line it up with the edge here of the plywood, and mark on here. And it is kind of difficult to remove material this small of a piece from here. Okay, we're going to duplicate that on the other side. And then, okay, so here's our piece now. We've got the edge marked, and I've got a line drawn along there, just a guideline for how much material to take off. So now it's just a matter of taking that off. It's one of the more tedious parts of the process, but kind of necessary if you really want this to sit down nice on the concrete or asphalt. What I've decided to do here is just take some material off the very edge here with the circular saw. So I've got it set to 45 degrees. I'm just going to take a little bit off. So using a belt sander, primarily, a little bit of saw, a little bit of file, I managed to get this edge down pretty close. You can see my line is starting to clear out. I'm going to go a little bit more at this, and then call it a day, because we've got the leading edge pretty well where we want it. Okay, what we've done now is kind of mock set up our ramp. We're at the door threshold, right up against it. We have this 2x4, the straightest one we could find, 2x4x10 clamped on now so that we have a straight surface. I'm simulating this ramp as it's done. I've propped it up underneath. Got part of an old railroad tie under there and a clamp. So this is all in preparation to capture this angle right here, which is the angle we're going to be cutting our leading edge of our 2x4s at. So we're going to get our hot melt glue gun heated up and get our straight piece of paneling ready. Glue it on there and then capture that angle. The glue gun heated up, so we're going to just lay down a little bead. set our squared off plywood against there. Okay, so now I took this apart. There's our angle. So you simply remove it. Cut on that line. You want to be pretty precise about this. I'm going to cut it right along the inside of the line. Okay, there we have it. There's our template piece. We want this angle precise here, so I'm clamping it down. I don't want it moving when I make my mark. And also use a straight edge to make sure it's right up against the edge of the 2x4 all the way along the length. There's a little bit off on this is not acceptable. I've got a good start here, just using a rip saw. That's about the only way you can do it, get it going on this side. You can bring on some power. Just take care with this part regardless of which kind of saw you use, whether it's a table saw, recip, jig, whatever you use. Just take care that you stay on the line, because this cut needs to be accurate. Got a new blade in here. Would recommend it. Check it frequently. Make sure you're not off track. Okay, I got this far with the recip saw. But at the end here, as I get to the small part of the wedge, I like to finish it off with a rip saw. And don't forget to save this piece, because this is going to come in on the upper end of the ramp. Okay, at this point what you're going to want to do, unless you like to live dangerously, is to take this and set your ramp up again. Just a temporary setup, loosely set up, and make sure your angle's good. Because if you go ahead and reproduce that same angle and you're off a little bit, you're going to basically be starting over with new 2x4s. So I'm going to check it out. Okay, so we're taking a little dry run here with our cut piece. It sits pretty good. Okay, so they didn't all come out the same. Don't despair. Just get out your belt sander, take out the uneven edges, make them all pretty much the same. This is fairly important. If you don't do this, you're going to have a wobbly ramp. Likewise, with the wedges that are going to be used on top, lash them all together somehow and give them a nice going over with the belt sander to even them out. Okay, we've got these all leveled off, no time flat with the belt sander. And one more thing I want to mention down on the other end here. Now you're going to need to shorten these up, even though we're using 10-foot plywood. We've tapered the front bleeding edge of it, so that these are going to be too long, by roughly 3 inches. So I'm going to clip these all off. This one's already been done. I'm going to clip these all off right here. That's less to paint. Because the next thing I have to do now is paint this. Put a couple coats of house paint on it. Since it is an outdoor ramp and I did not want to use pressure treated lumber because of the hazards that it carries for sanding purposes. Okay, we've got these all evened off with the belt sander. We're going to take them all in to be painted next. One other piece I should mention. You're going to need a piece 31 inches wide, the width of your ramp. And it can be smaller than this, narrower than this, but it doesn't hurt. This is maybe 18 inches wide. It's going to form the upper brace where these wedges are going to go to set on the step. And then one other additional piece is a 2x4, you know, if you're going to be painting it. And maybe a 6-foot 2x4 that's going to provide some small cross brace pieces. I'd paint it first and then cut it to size later to fit in between your runners. Okay, so here we have all our basic materials lined up. Our 5 runners, our 2 pieces for the surface of the ramp. There's the wedges and the board that are going to be used to rest on the top step. There's a few other pieces that I don't have out here yet. One being a 2x4 that we're going to use to cut some braces. They're going to go between these 4x4 or between these runners. And the rails, the side rails, of course. You've got to keep the chair on the ramp. And I don't have that here yet. Okay, what I like to do is get a straight edge here, a square, to make sure the runners are far enough back. With the square on there, make sure that you're at the same angle down here as the ramp. So when you turn this over, you can duplicate that when you screw it down. And one more thing, on the upper end of the ramp here, I like to have about an inch between the top of the plyboard and the runner, so that this isn't going to hit on the door jamb. And when this ramp's fully in place, having it real close could do that, and then you're going to wind up with a gap in between the threshold and the top of the ramp. So I'm going to take about an inch off of these. Okay, so we have everything spaced out, marked out. Some little hash marks made on the side here. Let us know how these go when we turn this back over. Well, we have this all laid out here. Decided I'm going to put the cross braces in now, because then I'll be able to turn these runners over as a unit and set the ramp surface on top. They're going to go in near the end here. Got them set for 3 inches and 5 inches, staggered, and 3 inches here and then 5 inches there again. And this is going to serve a couple of purposes. We're going to be putting a board on here later with the upper leveling runners on it. So we'll just get this width here and then just transfer this to our stock 2x4. So we're transferring the length then onto this prepared 2x4 that I've painted. That's a good way, to me it gets it just where I want it. Okay, we have our 4 blocks cut. At least on this first one here. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to drill a pilot hole because I don't want this whole thing. Okay, so we're just going back and forth. I'm going to do this one next, using the one kind of against the one that was already put in. I drilled a little bit. And then we'll do this one. Actually, I'll do this one over here first. It's good to have a couple drills. One you can use for a pilot with a bit in it. So I've got 2 in each one of these. So we've got the brace portion of this end done. Now we're just going to add the same amount, 4 more, down on the other end down there. Okay, with these in their final positions, I'm going to put them all right in this area here, staggered a little bit. Okay, we're putting the finishing touches on this front leading edge of the deck, the braces here. So with these brackets, with these braces on here, the idea is to pick this up. Flip it over. On top. Line it up with our marks. Marks we made on there. We're ready to attach the surface. But one thing I want to do first is just leave a line light pencil line right down the middle of each 2x4 here. So we have a better chance of getting it. So just lining this up is just a matter of having used your tick marks that you made. Here's our deck screws again. Sink them a little bit. Now, one consideration, of course, on this end, you have to use some shorter screws. So I'm going to put in some, I've got galvanized decking screws here that are 1 5/8 long. They're going to be perfect for that. So this is about as far as I can go. Screws. The other end here. Here we have your now just a few cement blocks. It's going to staple steady all the way along. I don't want to get on here very far, especially further up, but it's steady. Okay, so here we are, we're done. We've got 4, 8, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 on the long piece and 10 on the short screws. So that's going to be sufficient. Probably even a little more than enough. Okay, we've added some carpet on here now, just to make the surface a little nicer. Now we've got a couple of 1x4s here by 10s that we're going to use for side rails. Setting the height of this at 1.5 inches all the way along. Now we can just draw a line marking the bottom of this. We have to cut it off. And also we have to shorten this end since we had to cut down the 2x4s a little bit. So we're going to shorten it just to the end of the ramp. And we'll also put a little bevel in here because there's a screen door on this location that we want to be able to open up and use. So here's our rail board. We've beveled this front edge here to account for a screen door, and of course the other end down there beveled up so that it fits with the angle going to the ground on the leading edge of the ramp. Now we're just going to fasten it with some deck screws. Okay, so here we are in our location, and now what remains to be done is to figure out where to put the runners that are going to seat like this. Now what I want to do, what I need to do is attach a board. This 1/2 inch piece of plywood that I have here. These runners are going to rest on. So let's attach this little ramp, put it together. You don't need to do a whole lot of screws. And so on and so forth. We'll do all 4 of them this way. Trying to keep everything in alignment as we do it. Okay, we've got them all down, all screwed in. So now we'll set our ramp over here. It's a heavy ramp. The end of this ramp sitting right here against it. It's actually more than a 5.5 inch sheet, it looks like. I might need a couple. So I'm going to measure this gap right here. Then we have to get something to set down on the top of the steps here. I've measured the gap that I need to fill here. That was some material that's set to rest on the step at 1 3/8 inches. Put a 2x4, generally 1.5 inches. That's a little too much. See, now we came above the threshold. Okay, so we cut some plywood, basically 1 3/8 inches. Put this on top here. Also trimmed off our excess wedge on here. Okay, with our base and our little riser board set up, let's put the ramp on and see how we fit. Okay, so now I've got this ramp pretty well stable. You can step on the bottom, it's flush, doesn't rock. It's mostly what I'm looking for here. Now right up at the top here, I did wind up finding that the step, not level, not even. So you can see down here, see I put some shims under there for now. It's January here up in the Northland, and I don't really care to make any outdoor adjustments to this. This is something I could do later in the spring with the runners underneath there. Move them slightly. Okay, our final step here, we're going to mark on both sides and fasten this top piece so it doesn't move around. This is where those little cross members come in underneath between the rails. We're going to attach that piece to those. We'll line up our lines. So I just measured in where these little braces are and then made a mark. 4 different places on there. Absolutely exactly the way I would have liked. Hi, this is David saying so long. I appreciate you watching this video. Hope it helps you if you have a situation where you need to get a disabled or wheelchair-bound friend or relative into your home. That's what I did it for. And again, I hope some of these ideas might help you if you decide to do it. Thanks again.